Thanks very much, Emma, and thanks to everyone who's joined us on this call. And I want to thank the Zero COVID campaign for today's event. In my 10 minutes, I want to look at why we will continue to need to demand a zero COVID plan, despite the great news of the vaccines. I also want to look at the concrete demands we need to be campaigning on as part of winning that zero COVID strategy. For those less familiar with why a zero COVID plan is the answer, I want to start with one key fact. This illustrates just how catastrophic the Tory government's response has been compared to that of zero COVID countries. So far, in 2021, we have recorded almost 14,000 COVID deaths in the UK in just the first 2 weeks of this year. That's more than the total combined deaths in the entire pandemic of all the countries following zero COVID. The total COVID deaths in China, South Korea, Thailand, Australia, Singapore, New Zealand, Taiwan, and Vietnam over the past 12 months is just over 7,000 deaths. Their combined population, their combined total population, is over 20 times larger than ours. But with 90,000 deaths, we've had 12 times more deaths than all of them combined. Preventing the unnecessary loss of tens of thousands of lives should always have been the priority. But even on an economic front, the government policy has been a disaster, with the one of the deepest recessions of any major economy. Whereas the zero COVID countries are back open, with proper New Year celebrations, sports stadiums packed to the rafters, nightclubs and bars open, and their economies not suffering like ours. What's so frustrating is that it could have been us. We've had cases down to 1 per 100,000 people early in the summer. We were on track to being able to eliminate it before the government acted so recklessly. The Tory government's strategy of striking a balance between the economy and saving lives is a lie. It has failed on both fronts, and that's why we need a new strategy. The vaccine is a key weapon in this battle, but it can't be the only one. It will be many months, perhaps the end of the year, before everyone has had the vaccine, and even then, children won't have had it. So up to the end of the year, the virus will be circulating, and if not checked, it could still be infecting millions of people. And we still don't know if and to what degree the vaccine prevents transmission or how long immunity lasts. But even in the best case scenario, we have 8 or so months before enough people have had the vaccine to create immunity across society. That's many more deaths, much more suffering, and much more economic damage if we don't get this right. We need to be clear, the government's vaccine strategy won't get this right, because the government's strategy is that after the over 70s, those most likely to die from COVID, have been vaccinated by mid-February, then we will open up again. They're very clear about this. But under their plan, the virus will still be circulating. People will still get COVID and fall ill, even end up hospitalised. There will be ongoing strain on the NHS, undermining efforts to tackle the backlog of record numbers who haven't been able to access hospital treatments and who need it for other deadly diseases such as cancer. And we want to keep the numbers getting COVID down, as the damage from long COVID is very real. But most worrying of all with the Tory strategy is that when the virus circulates widely, there's a real danger of it mutating again and again, perhaps into variants resistant to the vaccine. So we need the fight for zero COVID to continue. So what are the campaigning policies that we need for a zero COVID plan? Zero COVID seeks to effectively eliminate the virus through a maximum suppression strategy. That means driving cases down to very low levels and then using test, trace, isolate and support to keep them down by ensuring those with the virus are not infecting the rest of the community. Our policy demands need to reflect that strategy. The first demand is to lock down properly. Lockdowns represent a failure to have the disease under control. But once it's out of control, lockdowns are needed. But if you're going to do it, then do it properly, not with the half measures we have now. We can see that too many people are having to travel during this lockdown. For some, that's because workplaces that clearly aren't truly essential are still open. For others, that's because workers who want to work from home are being told to go into their workplaces. Others simply can't afford to stay at home after nearly a year with reduced incomes. So we don't only need a lockdown that lasts as long as is needed to get cases down, not just a few weeks. We also need the government to give people the financial support they need to stay at home through lockdown. So a key demand must be furlough on full pay for all workers who can't work from home. Let's shut all non-essential workplaces with proper compensation for the businesses that need it. We also need urgent financial help for the millions of self-employed people who have never had any support or are on the brink of ruin and so still have to go out to work. A proper lockdown also means nurseries should be shut on the same basis as schools, and that there is a borders strategy that uses managed quarantine as well as requiring people to have had a negative test. But permanent lockdown isn't a solution. So what else do we need to stop us going in and out of lockdown? Obviously, any successful strategy needs testing and tracing to work. But now we have so many cases that contact tracing can't work. But once the lockdown has driven cases down and we are opening up again, then we desperately need it to work. So we must use the lockdown period to fix it. That means kicking Serco and all the other privateers out in investing in the NHS, especially in local public health teams. But testing isn't the goal in and of itself. The goal is to get infected people to isolate. We know many can't isolate without proper financial support. The government's £500 isolation payment is too little and goes to too few people. New data this week showed that in Yorkshire, my area, 61% of applicants are denied it. That's simply not good enough. That's why I've been organising a group of MPs to demand sick pay at real wage levels for everyone who needs it. We also need to fight for other types of support. For example, there's thousands of empty hotels. They should be made available to those struggling to isolate because of cramped housing. That's been done in some zero COVID countries. And other support could be provided using those hundreds of thousands of volunteers who signed up in the spring. They could be getting the food, shopping and medicines in for isolating people. Schools are currently shut, and that's right, but eventually they'll reopen and we need to be fighting now for them to be made safe. That means a rota system in place for schools with teaching online and offline, and a push for smaller class sizes by rehiring teachers and using community spaces. And the government must deliver the PCs so every child can study online, and it should enforce the internet providers to give free access to all children. Likewise, university campuses should stay shut this academic year, with teaching mainly online and students fully reimbursed for their fees and costs of accommodation that they can't use.
2-minute warning, Richard.
And I won't need the 2 minutes. So to conclude, of course, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to get this Tory government to change track and adopt a new strategy. But we have to keep fighting for this alternative strategy, and we can win the public over. And by focusing on these kind of demands, we can build wider coalitions and make real gains on some of these demands. And by doing so, we can help save lives and help save livelihoods in spite of this government's disastrous approach.